Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Requiem mission from Halo 4 on the next episode. This episode, we're debriefing the prologue and Dawn mission from Halo 4. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Does the Mark 6 Mjolnir come with a built-in air freshener?
I would hope so.
I want it to smell like lavender.
Lavender's
a
yum.
good smell. Everyone likes lavender. If you don't like lavender, you leave. Turn off the podcast.
Since this is the first mission of Halo 4, we're going to run through a quick overview of the game. Chris is going to handle it. We talk about kind of where we are in time in 2012, all that sort of good stuff. So take it away, Krista.
All right. So the developer, obviously Bungie, like all the other games. Wait a second.
Wait. Record scratch.
So this is the first full game that's been developed by 343 that we're playing through. They had a hand in
original game, first original.
Yeah,
because they
did CEA kind of with a little bun. Is that the one they had help with? No, I think it was Reach that they kind
Certain
of
Affinity
did it together.
Yeah.
So this is the first original game by 343 Industries. Very nice. It was released worldwide on November 6th, 2012. I was still in high school. Oh, that was a long time ago. The number of missions is 10, plus 10 missions, 8 are playable, so there's a prologue and an epilogue mission. Very easy to play on Legendary.
The missions are long in this
Yeah.
game.
The Dawn wasn't too long, though. The other ones are very
first
long.
one's not too bad.
Other games released in the same year. Oh, there's some good ones. The Walking Dead game from Telltale, RIP. Persona 4 Golden, Mass Effect 3...
Controversial, but good.
Journey, Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm very tired. I'm sorry. Dishonored.
You can do this, Krista.
Very good one. Love Dishonored. Borderlands 2.
Oh, good year.
Far Cry 3.
Ooh.
XCOM Enemy Unknown. And
Great
Diablo 3.
Oh.
Very good. Very good year. 2012 was amazing.
Yeah.
Diablo 3 got good eventually. I think it had a rough launch. Anyway.
Everybody wants Diablo 4, but no. We don't get it. The Metacritic score was 87, which is pretty
I
good.
think it's lower than most of the Halo games. Still good.
Yeah, it's
It is
a
lower
good
than most of the games, yeah.
Platform and difficulty, we're playing the game as part of the Master Chief Collection on normal or heroic difficulty. I'm going to be playing on Legendary because I hate myself.
You are?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Oh, Krista.
Do you need some achievements or what?
I don't think I've played Halo 4 on Master Chief Collection on Legendary, and also it's just one of those that doesn't have the Flood, so it's not horrible to play on Legendary. I might bump it down to heroic on some missions if I'm kind of strapped for time, because I play the missions right before the show.
Yeah.
Procrastination, kids, it's good for you.
No, you just want it fresh in your mind.
I want it very fresh, like finish the game and start the show. But if you are playing along with us, feel free to play on whatever difficulty is comfortable for you. The timeline covered is July 21st, 2557 to July 25th, 2557. We're actually coming up on July 21st pretty soon.
Like actually, as we're recording this,
we are in July. So, the marketing plan for Halo 4 was actually pretty interesting. Not only were there some really good trailers, which I'll go over, there was also an AR game, augmented reality, is that what we call them? Ancient Evil Awakes and all that kind of cool stuff. I forget exactly how the AR game worked, but I think it was a puzzle game that you could play with other people. And I think Halo 5 had a similar one. So... they had an AR game, they had all of these really cool trailers where it like had the didact symbol and the scan on random places on Earth and stuff like that. And of course we got the E3 2012 live action trailer called The Commissioning, which is the commissioning of the UNSC Infinity, which is a very big ship, 6 kilometers long, with 17,000 people on it.
Good
There
Lord.
are ridiculously
Pretty
big
crazy.
ships housed in this ship.
Yes.
Oh, right.
So it's kind of going back and forth between them commissioning the ship and saying, well, this was for war, made in wartime, but now it's for peace. And then the ship's just getting KO'd as it's going into
Right.
some kind of planet, getting kind of caught in some kind of gravity well, and everything's exploding and people are crying, and then it flashes back to the commissioning and everybody's like, we're so happy, this is amazing.
There's cool pieces of trivia about that, actually, on the actual trailer itself. There's, Cortana says, wake up, John, I need you. While John is like still in cryo sleep. Is this the one I'm thinking of?
No, that's the very
not Cortana,
first
this one.
trailer.
Oh.
If we want to talk about that real quick, because I just watched it, man, I was really excited to see that trailer, but man, it wasn't janky. Like, Cortana looked really weird. You only see her for about a frame, and then Chief didn't have the cod piece and looked really weird.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was the huge kind of thing.
It was the return of Master Chief, so everybody was too hype, kind of just seeing Master Chief on stage to kind of nitpick everything. But it was literally just Master Chief coming out of the cryo tube, the Forward Unto Dawn like exploding around him, and him coming out and looking at a Forerunner planet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the section where in the commissioning, one of the crewmen who was sucked out of the Infinity by an explosive decompression is named as Kiki Wolfkill. I thought that was kind of interesting.
What?
Oh.
Kiki's
like
dead
the
in the
tag.
Halo universe?
Yeah. Scanned as a hybrid live-action CG trailer, Halo 4, released on Waypoint October 19, 2012. It was produced by David Fincher and directed by Tim Miller.
Trailer.
Yeah, that's right. I thought it was pretty cool. Oh, it's a scan trailer. Yes, sorry, I'm getting the two of them mixed up, aren't I? Yes, I am. So I thought it was pretty cool. The trailers were awesome. They were really well done.
Okay, I'll go over the scan trailer real quick, because
Do.
this is kind of the point in the Halo universe where we kind of start thinking about where the Spartans came from, and
From a from a video standpoint.
yeah, and what kind of happened during that, and not the Dr. Halsey this kind of has to happen way, and kind of the this is a horrific thing that happened. So the scanned trailer is Master Chief in bondage, in space bondage, and some kind of crazy orangey glowy figures like looking at him and scanning him, and then it kind of goes through his memories as like a kid on the beach, and he sees like UNSC ships fly by and his mom calling him, and then it's him getting kidnapped and the Oni agents replacing the clone with him, and then
That was so cool to see.
it's so creepy. You just see these Oni agents carrying two kids. One of them walks out of the room and the other one puts the kid back in bed. Which is John. The kid is John.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. The other one is him getting ready for... It's a bunch of naked Spartans in a room, kind of. It looks like they're about to go in for augmentations. And then he sees another Spartan kind of react negatively to the augmentations and die. And then it's him waking up and, like, his hands are all scarred and stuff. And then finally it's him putting on the Mjolnir armor. Just kind of that transformation of him as a kid to him as a Spartan, and just kind of exactly what transpired in those events.
And they're still, especially when they're early Spartans, they're still kind of kids, right? You see that in Forward.
Yeah, the early Spartans were augmented at like 14.
Yeah,
So they were still very much kids. They were just very muscular kids. And 14's when they started giving them like growth hormones and stuff. They wanted it right at puberty when they were growing the most. So the scan trailer is a hybrid action CGI trailer for Halo 4, released on Halo Waypoint on October 19th, 2012. The trailer was produced by David Fincher. The director was Tim Miller. Blur Studios, the same company that did Halo Wars and Halo Anniversary 2's cutscenes, developed the animation. So there's almost a seamless transition between the CGI animation and the live action animations. It's live action, right? Is it partially live action?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So it's really cool. You kind of can't even tell at some points. It's like, wait a second, are those real people?
Right.
Is this real? So, it's a pretty crazy trailer. If you're
The content's a little weird though, right? Because we're used to Halo, our old Halo, our Bungie Halo, and this is a different kind of Halo.
Yeah, it's kind of darker. The trailers for this was a lot darker than even like Halo 3's trailers, where it's like this is the end of the world. There was still kind of a tone of victory in Halo 3, Halo 2, and Halo 1 trailers, but this is when it kind of goes into the philosophies and, just the moralities of things, and you kind of see that reflected in the additional media that were released between between Halo Reach and Halo 4. Halo Reach was the previous game to Halo 4.
2010,
I guess in Halo CE. Halo CE also came out. But Halo Forward Unto Dawn came out, which was a live action TV series. Well, TV series. It was like a web
movie.
series.
Yeah, it was a web series originally.
It followed a character called Thomas Lasky, which we'll kind of see in the lore a little later on, and just kind of him surviving a Covenant attack, and of course Master Chief shows up, and he's like, "Hey!" And we're all like,
And
"Hey!"
it takes place in like the 2530s, I think. So it was one of the first, shortly after Contact Harvest.
Yeah. And also Master Chief takes down a hunter in like the craziest way. So
It's amazing.
it's so good. He like implants a grenade in him.
board.
It's so good.
Yeah, he like boards a hunter and flips over him and it's so good.
Yeah,
So
Forward Unto Dawn is live action Halo done extremely well.
Yeah, I watched it recently, and when I watched it the first time, I thought it was very slow to begin with. But watching it the second time, I think that all of that character building is necessary. So I really liked the first couple episodes, and then the last couple episodes are pretty much all action.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it originally as episodic on the web when it came out. So like there was like a weekly release. So it did feel slow in terms of like what you got in each episode. Might have felt like a lot, but as a whole, it's a really kind of solid piece of content.
Honestly, I think they created it less episodically and more of just... It kind of follows the similar like movie timeline where it starts off slow, introduction, something big happens, and then a climax with Master Chief coming, and then the kind of drop-off as everything is being concluded.
Yeah.
So, is this the one where one of the Spartans takes off their helmet and Lasky's like, "Wait, how old are you?"
Yep.
Kelly and Fred both take off their helmet.
It's a really good scene because you can see she's like
awesome.
barely like a teenager, right?
She's a teenager. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "What?"
Look at these crazy
and then Chief just says, "That's classified."
Kelly says it.
Also,
Yeah,
Halo Forward Unto Dawn was the debut of Beamish, the scariest character in all of Halo.
Amish.
And Beamish actually has a
AKA
sad backstory too.
Frank
It's in Halo Fractures, so
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
It's cool.
And then the other additional media is 343 acquired Halo, and then immediately we're like, let's release 6 books. So, I think the last 2 books of these 2 trilogies were released prior to Halo 4, or after Halo 4.
After.
Which is the Forerunner trilogy, which is one of the greatest pieces of crazy sci-fi lore I've ever read. And then the Kilo 5 trilogy, which tells the story between Halo 3 and Halo 4, kind of just filling in those years a little bit. It mostly has to do with humanity making peace with the Sangheili, and then kind of Spartan morality and crazy stuff like that. It goes pretty deep and crazy and sad and weird.
They gotta find Halsey too, because Halsey was...
Oh yeah. It was the first book was We Hate Halsey book, so people were a little pissed about that because we all love Halsey.
Well,
I love Halsey.
Well,
Colin, you love Halsey.
she's a lady.
I'm telling you right now, Colin.
In
we
the
wouldn't
universe.
be talking right now if Halsey didn't exist.
That's true.
So that's about it for just kind of the rundown. A lot of stuff happened because 343 had to kind of pick up the mantle and kind of come in with a big boom, and they definitely did. They came out with a lot of cool stuff. So,
well, they added depth to a lot of things, and we talked about it in the Halo 3 recap, how storytelling, the way that 343 is moving the story forward is just different than the way Bungie did it. Bungie did it kind of mysteriously a little bit, in certain layers, and you had to kind of find certain things. And 343 does that a little bit here and there, but they've added so much, from the lore standpoint, all these books, lots of video, TV or movies to watch, terminals. So they've added a whole lot of depth to the story. And it's just a different approach, but they're also a dedicated studio to just do Halo. So that's their job, to flesh out the universe.
Yeah, Bungie's way of telling stories was definitely interesting because Bungie never really gave you answers to anything.
Which was frustrating.
It was frustrating, but also kind of kept an air of just kind of discovery, constant discovery. I think 343 is much more of, here's what's going on, let us explain it to you. And usually it's through the books, like, it's not usually through the games. The games definitely have a better narrative to them. Instead of Master Chief needs to save the galaxy, it's more of Master Chief needs to do all of these different things and kind of grow as a character, which I really appreciated, especially in Halo 4.
Yeah. The other thing I'll mention before we start diving into the mission is that there still are a little bit, but there were some growing pains as a part of the transition, and kind of with the change in art style and some of the details here and there, and we're not huge sticklers on that sort of stuff. It doesn't necessarily ruin the experience of like you said, that cod piece that was missing, or I think the armor in one of the videos isn't like Mark IV armor. It's so they did the best they could. They made some mistakes, but we're all, from our standpoint, we're all moving forward with this new 343 universe, and we're all happy with it. But
I think people just need to remember that between Halo 3 and Halo 4 there were a lot of changes, and it's not going to be exactly the same as Halo 3, and I think 343 did a great job at making the universe theirs while also not... Because if they made it exactly like Halo 3, people would just say they're copying Bungie. So 343 was in a really weird spot where they couldn't make everyone happy.
Yeah, and just art style continuity is a weird thing in video games, so maintaining that, just a couple things get overlooked here and there.
Nanobots.
It's a brand new team. Yeah, and there's nanobots. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, David, anything else before we dive into the mission, to the first episode?
The mission itself,
just before we dive into it.
Yeah, I love all the I appreciate it way more now than I did back then, of all the extra lore that 343 brought out, because it was so much I wasn't aware of when I originally played Halo 4, like the Forerunner trilogy, Halo 5 trilogy, Halo 4 trilogy,
Halo 5.
Halo 5. I'm blanking on numbers. Anyway, and so watching all that again now it's awesome. I love watching Forerunner Dawn. I went back and watched that again. It's a great piece of content. The Forerunner trilogy is amazing. All of these, when you do it right, and eventually we can have the opportunity to do it right. You've read all these books, you've watched everything, and then you go play Halo 4. It feels like such a bigger world. You know what I mean? And they did a good job of that, but obviously there's a lot of work involved in one person catching up on 6 books and many other web videos and trailers and stuff. So, no, I've enjoyed them. Enjoyed it a lot. I kind of forgot about the Scan trailer, and I didn't know it's just so awesome looking. So I guess we want that Blur movie. Do you know what I mean? So other than that, don't really have anything else to add. Cool. I'm ready to get rocking.
We played it in chronological order, kind of on purpose, right? To get these. Halo 4, there's lots of feelings coming up here because it's been a long, he's been in cryo for a while. And we'll discuss it. But if you followed us along, hopefully Halo 4 kind of gets you in the feels a little bit. So
yeah.
All right, so here we go. So the last mission was Halo 3 Halo. Master Chief and Arby crash-landed a Pelican on Installation 04 replacement Halo with plans to light the ring and destroy the Flood. After fighting up to the control room through waves of Flood, the fearless duo teamed up with Sergeant Johnson to quickly activate the ring and escape. However, 343 Guilty Spark took issue with their impatience and killed Johnson with his crazy face laser. Chief then got revenge on the Forerunner monitor, lit the Halo, and hopped a Warthog with the Arbiter to make their escape run across the crumbling installation surface. But before they could make it back to Earth through the portal, The Forward Unto Dawn was split in half by the destructive force, which left John 117 and Cortana lost in space. Chief decides to take a frost nap. Roll credits on the Bungie's original trilogy. Now we're in 343 land. This is Dawn. Triggered by the pulse of a mysterious scanner, Cortana wakes up the Master Chief from cryosleep after 4 years, 7 months, and 10 days of floating in space. A Covenant cult begins boarding the remains of the Forward Unto Dawn that's on a collision course with the Forerunner planet. John 117 and Cortana get right back to work and begin repelling the interlopers. The date of the game is July 21st, 2557. There's a prologue, which we'll talk about, which we don't really know when that took place. But why don't we just jump into that?
The prologue
David,
had
I'm
to
gonna
take
give this one to you.
place like between pretty soon, because in one of the Kilo 5 trilogy books, Dr. Halsey gets captured by Oni.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we probably have a window. We just don't have a specific date. At least Halopedia didn't have a specific date.
Yeah.
But it was soon before this, or maybe it was even during like the very beginnings of what was going on here. Anyway, well, let's dive into this prologue, and then we'll dive into the actual mission. But this prologue's pretty cool.
Yes, this prologue's amazing. I think it's one of the more underrated kind of cutscenes in Halo. You don't really hear people talk about it that much, but I think it's amazing. Just like as a perfect setup of what Halo 4 is, and it's important because you can see where they were kind of going with it. They were kind of taking a stance against John, which is the very negative stance of Oni, and generally trying to discredit him. So there's a person who we know is some kind of Oni is interviewing Halsey, and she is incarcerated, and you can see her with like handcuffs on, and he's kind of very harshly interviewing her, obviously with an agenda, which she kind of picks up very quickly in terms of the Spartan 2 program. And Halsey being Halsey is incredibly in love with herself, do you know what I mean, quite proud of her work, and is defensive on that, and even more so when he brings up John, which is pretty cool. So it's cool to see, it shows you like the darker side of the Spartans, which the game's never really addressed. So you get to kind of see that, again, like we know how they were created, but like when Halsey's like directly confronted with that, it's kind of interesting to see. So you get this cool cutscene of like different Spartans like landing and fighting, and it's so awesome. You see them in different areas, and you see like, I imagine it's John, I'm not sure, but taking on a brute and like kicking ass. It's so cool, like a brute,
giant brute.
Oh, it's so cool. He's doing all flips. It's so acrobatic. It looks amazing. And then you kind of get this kind of Spartan kind of sitting by itself in like a hangar bay, obviously silently reflecting, and it kind of hints at the fact that they're suggesting that the Spartan 2s are broken people, So they're obviously trying to aim to discredit and bring down John, which is interesting. Again, you need to know a billion other stuff of what's going on in terms of what Oni's trying to do to kind of understand where they're coming from. So the game doesn't set that up.
So is he Oni for sure? I think I watched a video maybe from Toa Freak at Halo Canon. He made it sound like maybe it wasn't Oni, but anyway. It's just like this mysterious character. Yeah,
I would have said it was only based on where we are in the timeline, and that we know she is in Oni. And in one of the books, it kind of says the amount of people that don't know that she's dead, because she's listed as dead. There's very few people who know that she's even alive, and who are allowed to interact with her, even though they have her working on the Infinity. They don't to keep her under very tight reins. So I imagine it's Oni, because Oni are in charge of her.
I think she has a line towards the end. She says the others were Office of Naval Intelligence, but you're something different.
Yeah.
Does she say that?
Yes, she does.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Maybe it's Apollo. Maybe it's supposed to be Fireteam Apollo. I don't know.
They could definitely write that in, because...
Yeah.
But Fireteam Apollo wouldn't have existed now, would they?
I don't know. I want to say one of the original...
4s or 5s?
They're Spartan 4s, I think. I think they're 4s. Anyway, I'm also trying to think that there is actually a data drop with a interview with Halsey. I'm pretty sure with the interview. But anyway, it doesn't really matter.
They were talking to her about Cortana, I think.
That's right, yeah.
It would have to be whoever is trying to spearhead the next generation of Spartans, I would think.
Which is Ackerson, which I suppose isn't really Oni, is it? Is he section? What section is that? The Spartan brand. I suppose the Spartan
program would be under Oni, but I would imagine the person that...
It splits, though.
The person that wanted to spearhead the next Spartan program probably wouldn't act like a normal Oni agent.
that's true. I mean, they have split. I know we're going to get into the weeds here, but the Spartan program did split around this time and became its own thing, not under Oni. So it makes sense that it could be part of him trying to discredit the 2s and kind of make the new 4s and 5s the bee's knees. Do you know what I mean? That's what they're pushing, and you see that with 4 with all throughout the game, just what these new breed of Spartans are like and how they interact with 2s and stuff like that. But anyway,
you mentioned Ackerson. I believe he's dead. I think he died in Halo Uprising.
Oh, sugar. Who am I thinking?
Anyway, continue.
Doesn't matter. Okay, you could be dead. Anyway, here we go. The cutscene kind of ends, and kind of leads us into Cortana, and brings us back to Forward into Dawn. And it's kind of floating.
Looks so good.
It looks so good, and it's so jarring when you go straight from the end of 3 to the beginning of 4, and you see the differences. So obviously, a lot of things have changed in when 3 take over. You're on the Xbox 360. We're near the end of the life cycle, and I remember everyone saying like this game looks amazing for the end of the life, like 360. Like it looked so good even when it came out. So there was like, obviously I saw some interesting kind of size comparisons. Like the Forward into Dawn is completely revamped in terms of it's way bigger now than it was previously. That's just when you flesh out, when you have a map on it, the actual ship itself is way bigger. Like the same with like the Pillar of Autumn at the end of CE is actually ginormous compared to what it should be. Do you know what I mean? But they actually,
in order to make it an interesting video game level,
exactly. They did the same thing where they redesigned the ship, and obviously Chief's armor and everything is all different. So it's cool. It's pretty cool. So Cortana kind of wakes up. The ship gets scanned. She kind of freaks out a little bit, and you can see there's elements of her going rogue here. When rampant. You see her kind of color change. You see her kind of freaking out, and she looks amazing as well. By the way, this game looks so good. And she kind of activates and wakes up John as things are going crazy. Obviously outside, she doesn't know where she is or anything like that. But John kind of wakes up and the game begins. Here we are.
Yeah, the line. So there's 2 lines at the beginning of this game that kind of gave me chills. The prologue at the very end where Dr. Halsey says, "Do not underestimate him."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is good because they're talking about John. And then right here, because you know what she's gonna say, right? Because the last time he said, "Wake me when you need me," and she says, "Wake up, John. I need you."
It's so good.
So good.
They definitely did a really good job with that.
Yeah, they do a great job tying the ends of the games together here. But yeah, you see Chief, he just kind of thaw out a little bit, and then we have our
instantly slams his fists on the glass.
Yeah, like he's falling towards it or something. But they have the dialogue, and I'll do my best to kind of interject the dialogue. There's really good dialogue throughout this game between Chief and Cortana. Lots of really good and important things that I'll try to highlight. But the dialogue, like they're just spot on. Like the things that they say, it's kind of a minimalist approach too. Like that and that's just kind of Chief in general, right? Like he only says a few things, but he's right to the point.
Well, they do a great job, and obviously one of the key factors of that is that, you know, Jen Taylor and Steve Downes were in a recording booth for the first time ever for this game.
Yeah,
so
they actually met the first time doing this game.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I think they hadn't met before this, but which is nuts. So they actually worked face to face for this, so you can tell the difference. Also, I think they did a great job of having Cortana pop up on your HUD as a screen to talk to. So I really like that. That really helps when you're when so much of this game is John and Cortana talking to each other.
Well, and there's lots of emotion, and you can see emotion in her face, and there's other characters that we see, so you can kind of see that. They're very well done. And it's kind of a little tidbit. You guys probably picked up on this, but did you notice the number, the cryopod number that he popped out of? It's 16. 1 plus 6, 7. More 7s, right?
There's loads of that in here.
Yeah. And then
if you're playing 2-player, I think the other cryopod you come out of also makes up to 7 or something like that. It's a different number. Yeah, sure. They did the same.
I did play this game, the first couple missions I played co-op. I played with throwback Nate Bacon.
Oh, I love him.
And Jesse White, who's a great guy. He's in a bunch of groups together, so that was a lot of fun. And but this So I'll provide perspective. I played it solo recently, and then I've also played co-op. So I'll try to remember, how things went from both perspectives. But the first dialogue here, he just says, "Ready to get back to work," like right away.
Yeah.
And then she goes, I love her too. Her comment is, "I thought you never asked." And it's like the first thing he says when he pops out. So good. We'll also talk about, because this is a 343 and so far in the future and all this other stuff, we'll try to interject what's new and different from the game. One of the first things, let's just talk about it real briefly, is the Mjolnir armor. It looks different. And they explained it, so it's still Mark 6? Is that?
Here we go.
Right?
The Spartan's Mjolnir armor, despite representing Mark 4 and 5, resembles an upgraded Mark 6 version that Cortana devised for John. However, Dr. Halsey was not aware of the existence of this suit at the time of her interrogation. Joss Holmes has confirmed that the appearance of John's unique armor in the cutscene is not canon. Sorry, this is specifically talking about the prologue scene. So I found that interesting. So the development team recycled the existing Mark 6 geometry because they had insufficient time to create a mechanically accurate model. The suits are shown possess energy shields. While this may not represent the field testing that began in 2531, it is more likely an example of artistic license on Halsey's imagination. So I found that interesting. So according to the follow-reach, John Cortana, when her chip was inserted into his neural interface for the first time, this occurred just after he received his second-gen Mark 5 Mjolnir armor, and took place inside a large tent. However, the cutscene shows Cortana introduces a holographic form outside of his suit, which is depicted in the aforementioned Mark 6. The meeting appears to take place inside a bunker, likely inside Castle Base rather than a surgical tent. The comic The Follow Reach also shows John introduced to Cortana via her avatar, although John correctly depicted her as wearing is correctly depicted as wearing his new Mark 5 suit. I guess we're talking about 6. Mark 6 is what he should
Mark
be.
6.
So there you go.
Yep, so he's Mark 6, so it's not the same Mark 6 as Halo 3. It's been upgraded by nanobots. Right. Because he's been in cryo for 4 years plus, right? So
Cortana's bored.
Do something. Yeah. She need to do something. So, I mean, it's also like a change in technology. That the old game was, years before, and now 343. And like we just talked about how amazing this game looks. The fidelity of this game is fantastic. It's still the same system, it's still 360, but just the advances in technology is crazy. So they blew the aesthetic out quite a bit, and this is 343's approach to how they want the world and the story that they're telling. So yeah, we're not sticklers on armor, but it's going to look different. It's going to look more, metallic and futuristic. So we head out the door and head out of Crowd Bay. If you go down the stairs right away, you get like a little kind of recap of what's been going on.
Oh, it's very little.
Yeah, a little terminal. It's cool.
Yeah. You can hit the button a couple times and it'll tell you like, here's what happened in Halo CE, here's what happened in Halo 2, here's what happened in Halo 3. So it gives you a little bit of an overview.
In Halo 2 we found another
level.
Halo. And then John went back to Earth.
Yeah, pretty much. The other cool thing, the start of this game is great. You kind of get your bearings of the ship and you see multiple holograms. So this first hologram that you see right up front is kind of what's left of the Forward Unto Dawn. And it is interesting because it gives you the opportunity to kind of cycle through this little screen here, and it tells you that there are some defenses that are still online, right? Lots of stuff is broken, but there are still some defenses online. Cortana and Chief are trying to figure out like what the scan is, what's going on outside of the ship. So they're headed up. I think it's like up a few different levels to go figure out what's going on, defend the ship. Cortana tells Chief, hey, you've been out for 4 years, what did I say, 4 years, 7 months, whatever, 10 days. And he's like, okay. He doesn't really react to that at all. I think that's good. And it's just classic John, right?
Well, he reacts by like, why hasn't anyone found us?
Yeah, right. It's just right to the point, right? It's like, okay, he just processes that really quickly. Then you see the scan come through, which is really cool.
Oh my gosh, that scared the shit out of me when I first played this game.
Yeah, the audio
it makes
really
a really
too.
Big bang.
Mm-hmm. And then the next kind of hologram you see is the trajectory, like where the Forward Unto Dawn is, and it shows you kind of, if you just watch it, it's like it's moving towards some planet. And we'll find out that very shortly. But you head through further up through the hallway here, and then we have a little. I call this like a demo moment, right? Like you smash the button to open the doors, and then you climb up the shaft, and it's very like cinematically it's cool, and you're playing it. It's like a lot of quick time event type stuff. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's the only time
cool.
you do this sort of thing in Halo, really. And
There's
then,
a cool what was I trying to say? Kind of like an Easter egg kind of thing here that you can do.
Okay.
It's like multiple players. I kind of read into it. You can get an infinite energy sword essentially. So, we're using like multiple players. One player climbs up, the others wait down below near the door, and like when you kill the elite and pull him out, they like grab the energy sword as it falls and stuff. It's pretty ridiculous, but it essentially allows you to kind of have an infinite energy sword. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
I
like that.
remember, I always distinctly remember that climbing up at the elevator shaft scene from the beginning of Halo 4, just because it was so different than anything we've ever seen in Halo 4. It's really cool the first time you play it, but then on consecutive plays, it just kind of becomes, I gotta do this thing real quick, and then I gotta play, I can play the game again.
Yep. So after you get up the shafts, you take out the elite and just kind of huck them over. John does ask the question. He's like, wait a minute. I thought we were cool with the Covenant. And Cortana just chimes in and says, hey, it's been a while. Lots can change in 4 years. So then you proceed on. You see a stairwell in the distance, and there's elite up there. I don't think you really have to be like stealthy. As long as you don't fire your weapon, you can go up and assassinate him and see that assassination animation, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time. So there's assassinations, I guess, in Reach, right? And then they carried them through into Halo 3, or Halo 4. We'll talk about. I think you can assassinate most of the enemies too. I think you can assassinate knights.
Yeah.
I think
Grunts, jackals, everything.
Crawlers,
Jackals are harder.
Watchers.
You can crawlers.
Yeah.
Crawlers are real hard to get actually.
Watchers are really hard too, but you kind of like hang on to them, and they kind of fly around in a circle, and then you like punch them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
If you don't know what a Watcher is, you'll find out in a couple missions. But this is kind of your first encounter here, and there's bunch of grunts in here. This is kind of like the first initial boarding party that's sent off to figure out, like, okay, let's go raid this UNSC ship that's out here, and you pick up the storm rifle. How do you guys feel about the storm rifle?
I like it. It's okay.
You do?
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with the storm rifle.
I've never liked it. It feels weird to me.
It's okay. I will say the weapons in this game are pretty damn cool. I really liked it. I think this mission has a good round of weapons. I used everything.
I think the Magnum feels really good in this game too.
They finally fixed the pistol. That's what I want to say. They brought back the Magnum. It's pretty damn cool.
Yep, pistol feels good. I love the sound of the AR.
Yeah.
AR sounds so good. We don't pick up the BR for a little while, but then I'm not crazy about the sound of that one. But finally we're playing Halo, right? Like let's go. Taking out some elites and some grunts, and the grunts are talking weird. They're not talking English anymore. They're talking grunty. What's their actual name? Ungoi name language or something. Some weird Covenant dialogue or a dialect, I guess. But so you open these blast doors here. You push the button once you clear out this initial wave, and then you reveal. There's quite a few Covenant ships here, and I think
an entire Covenant armada.
It's a great reveal. It's cool.
Yeah.
I hate the way they've set it up of where Cortana is describing the chief about like it must be a different sect of Covenant and stuff like that. And how would she say they're a bit more zealous? Is that the way she has like a way of describing them?
He says they're a little more fanatical later.
A bit more fanatical. That's the word. Yeah. And then she says they're not outfitted the same way that typical Covenant would be, and you learn why later on, or if you have caught up on all the actual lore in the books, you'll know why they look different.
Yep. You can also see the Forerunner world in the distance as well. We'll talk about all that stuff as it comes more relevant to the story. But yeah, then you get two phantoms that just board you on either side, and it's up to you to figure out which side you want to go through first. This part is a little bit difficult, especially if you're just used to playing on normal or something like that. I was also trying to get used to the storm rifle, and I wasn't having much success, so I would try to try to take out one of the elites, because I think there's just one elite from each side and then a bunch of grunts, and then the grunts from the other side would take me out. But it's not terrible, but it's just a little bit of getting used to the weapons that you have in Halo 4 now. But any approaches that you guys do here? I mean, you usually just kind of chuck a grenade on one side, see if that does some damage, and clear out as much as you can before you move to the other side. Krista, what do you do?
So if you don't know, when the boarding parties come, you can get murdered by the thing that pops open. Yeah,
oh, really?
It'll hit you in the face and
funny.
kill you. It's kind of funny. But pretty much huck a grenade. Usually I can get the elite's shields down, and then plasma pistol the other elite on the other side, and then and then kill everything. Headshots.
You're plasma pistoling because you're on legendary.
Yeah, you kind of have to use that strategy on legendary.
And the plasma pistol's okay. I mean, we've always talked about it. It's always kind of been okay. But when you're forced to use it, you realize, this is actually pretty competent.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to use it on legendary just to take down shields and get a headshot, because elites can kill you really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's legendary game. The legendary games in all of the Halo games have always forced you to kind of pick up the plasma pistol, which is kind of funny because you don't use it any other time.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to think other things that I've noticed here in the beginning part of the game. The dust particles at the very beginning are pretty cool in the ship. Just the whole aesthetic is fantastic. Everything feels. It doesn't feel like the Pillar of Autumn that much to me. It feels like a different. It feels like a different ship. But they're also kind of going for a similar feel, I guess. Like, hey, we're back. We're on the ship. You're popping out of cryo, kind of similar to Halo CE. Let's go wander and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much kind of starts the same. Yeah, no, big time. I mean, obviously the level is designed that way. And obviously 343 are like, hey, look, we're real, we're you. We're Halo fans,
Yep.
So it's the same as Pillar of Autumn. You come out of cryo, you retrieve Cortana, you defend the ship for Covenant borders, you crash land on a forwarder installation at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is quite similar. It's cool. It's cool. I like it a lot.
Yep. It's hard to describe kind of like what turns to take and all that sort of stuff, so I'll just refrain from that. But we make our way through the ship. And there's another point actually where you get to see a little bit of an overlook, which is kind of cool. And kind of get to see all the ships in the background, and again you get to see the mysterious planet. And at that point is when Cortana says, hey, we could use one of those missiles to defend ourselves here. So you kind of have that as your next objective is, all right, I got to get outside. You actually have to get outside the ship. So you can't, it's all, the Fort and Dawn is in pieces. And, we can't activate the missiles from the inside because it's broken. So we have to go outside. So this is great. Once you finally get out there, with some Covenant to take out in between there before you actually get to that point. But it's really just kind of, getting back into Halo, getting back into the feel of, there's the similar, they look different, sure, but it's grunts and it's elites and it's jackals, and the jackals have their shields, and there's plasma grenades back, so it feels very good. I mean, what do you guys think about coming off of Halo 3 and then diving into Halo 4? Did it feel that, there's sounds that are different and some aesthetics that are different, but did it feel different? Did it not feel like Halo to you?
Master Chief learned how to sprint, which was interesting.
Yes.
Do we want to talk about how controversial the sprinting is? To this day.
I like sprint, personally.
I think it's weird. Why do people hate it
I don't
so much?
know, but to this day, people are like, why do they keep adding sprint into Halo? I hate it. It's like, why? What are you doing?
Well, I think some of the, controversy or the criticisms were that Halo 4 was trying to be too much like a popular other first-person shooter, Call of Duty. And so they added a lot of things that tried to make it speed up and, other things that make that game that people love that wasn't in Halo originally. So I think that's the biggest thing, is they get this Call of Duty out of my Halo. But to me, I think you need that speed, especially for more modern games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like sprinting. I think it's nice.
There's a balancing factor I think that people have issue with, because if nobody can sprint, then like everybody's moving at the same pace, and that's multiplayer stuff that we don't really get into here. So I guess I can understand from that standpoint. But yeah, I mean, I'm all about sprint. Let me move through this mission a little faster, please. Thank you. Anything else on this kind of before we get outside, there's that encounter where there's that office in the middle, and then you kind of have the walkways on the outside, and you got a couple elites and I think some jackals and whatnot. Any other approaches that you guys do? Do you guys go in the center room right away? David, what do you do?
I kind of go, yeah, I do. I have great fun with my Magnum getting headshots on grunts, because it's so satisfying. I eventually did drop and pick up a Needler, just to kind of try that out again. Needler in this game is pretty good. Also, the elite at the end, I can't remember his rank, but he has a concussion rifle.
Yes.
So
Once you get through it.
Yeah, I always try to love this weapon. I don't know. It feels like when it's used against you, it's devastating, but I never seem to get the impact I want when I use it. But I do like it. It's a cool designed weapon. Pretty cool.
It's kind of like the brute shot.
Yeah,
right?
kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, similar type of. It fires this big, like, little ballistic, almost a grenade, and it explodes. So it feels very similar. It looks different, but it feels pretty similar. Krista, any differences in approach in this last little section before we get outside?
So you can pretty much get all of the grunts and jackals out between that middle room and just staying kind of back towards the entrance. On Legendary, there are 2 elites in the back, and then the concussion elite in the next room, kind of in the hallway. So I kited one of the elites towards me and took him out with, the noob tube combo. Yep. And then I took the other one out the same way and just stayed far back and took out the guy with the concussion rifle.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. I love getting outside in this mission. It's so good. It feels like, isn't it? There's a mission in Reach, right, where you kind of are in space a little bit. You're kind of like floating around.
The Long Night of Solace, one of the best
Yeah.
missions in all Halo. Yeah,
It's the one where George
wherever
dies.
Colin.
I think I forget if it's the beginning or towards the end of it. It must be towards the end of that mission where you kind of get you're floating and
you land the saber onto the ship.
Yeah, you get the weird sounds and stuff like that. So this has a very similar feel to that. When you finally get outside, you see these jackal snipers, and the jackal snipers they look different too. They're way in the distance. There's a BR floating right in front of you, so you get your first BR experience. I don't like the sound of the BR though. It sounds so weird. I don't
You're
know
in
what's
space,
going on
of course it sounds weird.
But even when you're on
Colin,
the planet,
weird space sounds.
I know. It's just I like my other BR. I enjoy the BR in general. If it's good, it's still good. It just sounds. I love the new sound of the AR. Not so much the BR. Anyway, we get outside. We see the foreigner planet. Now we're even closer, and we see all the Covenant fleet up above you, and you have the objective. You gotta essentially run to the other side of this open area, push a button, and then the missile will pop out, and then you gotta go fix the missile and go shove it in with your shoulder. So however you want to do that, you can clear out a bunch of Covenant kind of down in the center. There's some phantoms that drop off, some grunts and some jackals and whatnot. Or you could, like a lot of times, at least on Heroic, I just pretty much sprint all the way up to that button. David, do you take your time here, or do you kind of hurry it along?
I kind of took my time here. I was playing Heroic today on it, actually. So the first one. I died a lot. Those jackal snipers just got me so many times.
You got to clear those first.
Yeah. I kind of just pile through the middle, really. I do sprint, I do slowly, methodically try and take them all out. I dropped and picked up a carbine at some stage. Carbine's pretty cool in this game too.
Carbine's good.
So I love this segment of fighting outside in space. Is pretty cool.
Yeah, the sounds are, like you said, the sounds are good, and just like it's a big level, but you really only kind of hang on to the left side of this map, because that's where all the enemies are, that's where the objectives are, but you can really explore this whole area. Chris, anything else that you do?
The first thing I do is take out the jackal snipers, because they'll pretty much kill you in 2 shots. After that, I try to get rid of all of the jackals and grunts with, the battle rifle, and then at that point, I kind of because the plasma pistol will track the enemy of a overcharged shot if you get close enough, so I always try to take all of the infantry out before going up to the elites, just because I like to be a little closer to make sure I get the lock on with the plasma pistol shot. Yeah, so I did that with the elites, and then walked right up to the top and pressed the button.
Yeah. So you cleared everything out and just kind of strolled up to the top.
Yeah, I also grabbed the beam rifle a little bit and took out kind of the far away, the elite at the very top with the beam rifle.
That's a good point. So we got beam rifle, we almost got all the weapons here. I mean, there's more to come, but they throw most of your arsenal at you in this first, at least towards the very end of this first mission.
And as you go up that ramp, there's a box with like 5 carbines in it, so you can grab a carbine, which is really nice. They are very nice in this game. I love them.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So we go up there, push that button, then the missile pops out, but of course it's jammed, so we gotta go and fix that manually. There's a couple more dropships that come down, but really you can just sprint down and hit that thing with your shoulder. You really don't have to fight any of the Covenant if you don't want to. That's what I do. David, do you fight, or do you just sprint to the objective?
Always fight, Colin. Always.
You guys always clear everything out. I like to hurry things along. Let's go. Come on, let's get to that cutscene. Anything else you want to add before we push I guess the mission's not over, so we just do a couple more things. Anything about like the plan? I mean, Cortana mentions at one point, she's like, did I miss that they, because they don't really talk about it yet, but they're like, hey, there's this big planet right there too, and in the background. So we push in the missile. The missile launches.
This bit's weird.
It blows up a Covenant cruiser, but there's not really an explosion, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, it like falls apart.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just, I'm trying to think. There's explosions in this game. So it was a little bizarre that it doesn't have a big, like, instead it kind of like falls apart and floats off into space instead of just blowing up in that space in that moment. But
and then you get scanned.
Then you get scanned, right? Another scan, and it scans you specifically. It scans Chief, which is pretty interesting. It doesn't scan the whole ship anymore. It's just isolated on John 117. And then what's the next thing that Cortana says? I'm forgetting.
Now can we worry about the giant metal planet?
Oh, because it starts to open, right? Yeah, that's right. So the metal. That actually is one of the comments. Is he says one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
Earlier,
at the very beginning, he says that when she mentions the Forerunner planet.
Yeah. And then he says one thing at a time. Yep, very good. Their banter is very good throughout this game. So then we got to head back through one of the doors that we kind of came in or out, however you want to. Yeah, I guess we came outside, so we got to head back inside. And from now, it's more or less just kind of a sprint through the ship.
Yeah, and if you're like me, sometimes the debris that gets sucked in hits and kills you.
Oh, really? I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah, those like barriers and stuff that were your friends and you hid behind will just murder you now. Also, bodies will murder you.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, really? Jeez, I've never been killed by any of that stuff. At least not that I remember.
It's really funny when you get killed because Master Chief just kind of floats into the planet.
Oh, he does? Okay, yeah. Because, like all classic Halo, whenever you die, you just get this, ragdoll chief that just zooms out on. That makes sense. Anything about the last little section here? You got to run through. There actually is. So everybody's kind of, once you get into the ship, everybody's, everybody, the Covenant that are still in there, they're kind of in a daze. They're panicking. They don't know really what to do. You can jump up high. There's a part where you can go low. If you jump up high, you can stay up high, and you can get a sword. There's a white elite up there that you can get a sword from. Energy sword. Oh, yeah. But you don't really use it, because then I think you lose it as soon as you get into the next mission. Yeah. But at least you get an energy sword in this mission.
Just for fun. Also, I think this is the first time where we get like sparkly Cortana, distorted Cortana.
Yeah, she says something a little weird, doesn't she?
She's just explaining something, and then it goes all like your HUD gets all staticky, and she gets all warbly.
Warbly and red. That's right. So something's not quite right with Cortana. We'll find out more about that as we go on. But yeah, you proceed on. You can kill some of these Covenant. You don't have to if you don't want to. You proceed through to the objective marker, and then once you get there, then everything goes to hell. The entire ship falls apart, and you just fly essentially like you're like floating out in space with all this other space debris. Yeah, I don't think you can really move your body at this point.
No, it's just a cutscene.
It feels like you can, but yeah. I feel like I was trying to like dodge out of the way of the debris, but it's eventually gonna catch up to you and smack you in the face.
Halo 4. That's the end of the game. You die.
Right. Exactly.
Credits roll.
Yeah. It feels good. I thought it felt good. This mission feels good. It's quick. It's not a whole lot to it.
It's a good intro. It sets up a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And you just get to fight Covenant, which is fun.
Yeah, so that feels like classic Halo. They set the tone really well. Introduced to lots of different things. Let's see, did I skip over anything else? I talked about sounds. We talked about sprint. Aim down sights. You could always do some ADS on some weapons. Whether or not you could fire is a different story, I guess. But most of these weapons is kind of the same, a carryover from Halo 3, I believe.
Yeah.
The carbine you can aim down. Obviously the sniper once you get that eventually. I think the pistol you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can, yeah.
Okay. Yep. So all that's pretty much the same. Oh, there's no collectible skulls in Halo 4. So that's a bit of a change.
Isn't there there's collectible something though, isn't there, other than terminals?
There's terminals.
Is it just terminals?
Not that I know of. Maybe there is. But I think there's some things that you can grab, especially like in the next mission. There's like some things that you can play, like audio
those are
logs or
amazing.
terminal
Yeah, we'll talk about
things.
those.
Yeah, we'll talk about those next mission. But anyway, specifically skulls, there aren't. You can just activate those from the screen. If you're playing the 360 version, you can just activate those, turn those on or off from the menu. But there are terminals, so we'll cover those. Those start in the next mission. Some deep terminals. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to cover before we go into? I do have questions, so we'll have a question, and then we won't have that terminal, so then we'll get out of here.
I got some cool random bits of trivia. Yeah, some of them's not even about the missions, just about the game and stuff. But I thought I'd include it because I kind of liked it. On the first day of release, Halo 4 grossed $220 million, which surpasses Halo Reach's record, which was $200 million, and $300 million in its opening week. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Okay.
First time the Halo series, Taylor and Downs recorded dialogue, which we knew, the scenes together in the same recording booth. This level is reminiscent of Pelham the Dawn. We'll kind of cover that really again. Similar kind of layout, we kind of know that. Mm-hmm. The level is the first campaign level in a Halo series, apart from Halo Wars, that is not divided into distinctly titled sections. Even though there are rally points available in the campaign lobby, there are no names for the level sections. It's a similar case for Halo 2 campaign level Grave Mines, where there are only one section in the entire level. It's also the first opening level in which there is no friendly units present, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, good point.
The elite that John encounters in the elevator shaft is unaffected by the Thunderstorm skull, which upranks everybody in the mission, so it's always the same kind of pre-cutscene elite that you meet, which I thought that was just an interesting tidbit. Mm-hmm. His grapple with the Sankheli Storm is similar to the vignette from Halo Reach. In the level, Winter Contingency Spartan B312 punches the Sankheli Zealot when he's pinned to the ground, narrowly saving himself from being stabbed with an energy dagger. In both cases, the elite's shields do not flare when punched, which is interesting. The post-war UNSC emblem is used aboard the Forward into Dawn, despite the frigate having been out of contact with UNSC since 2552. Curiously, the proper emblem is painted on the starboard wing, establishing the shot from the Dawn, through it barely visible. The UNSC weapons aboard the Dawn are also post-war models, as opposed to the variants encountered in Halo 3, which is obviously a result of production considerations. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just something we have to take with it. Right? Yeah, it's a video game. Yep. There's also, when he's in space, he's not really affected by 0G. So which is kind of interesting. Like in Halo Reach, we could jump really high and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
you don't
they
really
didn't
change.
do that here. Yeah. I guess he's got those mag boots on.
Yeah. Sweet magnets.
There you go. And just generally speaking, Halo 4 was originally stated to have been designed as part of a 3-game arc from the beginning. However, the scope of the then Reclaimer trilogy, now known as the Reclaimer saga, has been expanded to encompass undefined number of games. So in addition, 343 Industries is aiming for a more complete connectivity among their future media than their original trilogy. So this is all quoted from way back when. So you have the Forerunner saga, Kilo 5 like we mentioned, Anniversary Terminals actually all hinted at this Halo 4 story. The third and final Forerunner saga novel, Silentium, was released on March 19th, 2013. Frank O'Connor noted Silentium will be released after Halo 4 for specific strategic reasons, likely referring to the connectivity of the game with the novel. Forward Unto Dawn provided a backstory for Lasky, like we mentioned already, who was a major character in this game. It's pretty cool. The Halo 4's Collector's Edition has a 90-minute extended cut of the series, but I think that's the cut you can watch on the Halo channel. So that's what I watch. Okay. That's where I watch them. So there you go.
If you haven't read Silentium, I would recommend, Cryptum. I would recommend reading Cryptum between now and the next episode.
Oh, okay. So like a week?
Yeah, you could do that. Just get the audiobook. Listen to it when you go to and from work, if you have work. I just did that recently before this episode, between last episode and this episode, and it's good. It's great. It gives you lots of good stuff, and it makes this story specifically, if you read the whole trilogy, it'll make it even better. But if you at least read Cryptum, it'll make a lot of the things that are in this game real cool. All right, should we do some community stuff?
Let's do it.
All right, who's got up Discord or Facebook?
I do.
All right.
Admin-Collins says, when you wake up after 4+ years of cryo sleep, what's the first thing you do? Parentheses, question for mission debrief, Halo 4 Dawn episode, end parentheses. So, Rye says, I can't post the answer here, but there's a solid 2 responses that come to mind.
Okay.
Master G97 says, trying to figure out what happened to Cartoon Network and why they went from the original Teen Titans, to this, Teen Titans Go. That's a very visual response. Axif says, I would take a massive piss. Imagine how long it's been. I can definitely...
I think there's a lot of people that had that same thought.
Well, I mean, come on. Redacted17 says he would go on the internet and get disappointed that Half-Life 3 is not out, but also get excited that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7 is being animated, and would immediately start playing Halo. Literally everyone is back except George.
Oh, ouch.
Fambam says, I'd probably just go back to sleep, to be honest. And Matt says, 4 years, probably hit the snooze on that alarm. JRock2 says, I'd instantly pull up Twitter to see if I'm trending. Because, I mean, if you were in cryosleep for 4 years, maybe people are, talking about you. I mean, what's up with this guy?
Yeah, maybe you had some art out there people found, oh, he's dead, now it's cool.
And definitely, one of my favorites, Muffin says, I'd find the closest McDonald's and see if the McRib is available.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
And that's about all I got for, Discord.
Cool. What's Facebook have to say?
So, Facebook, my peeps, we have Colin Perkins, moderator, June 27th at 2:51 p.m. You wake up after 4+ years of cryosleep, full stop. What's the first thing you do? ? Open brackets. Question for mission debrief, Halo 4 Dawn episode, close bracket. What we got is a sad, lonely picture of Cortana on Dawn. And then we go. James Whitmarsh says, check the internet for Half-Life 3. That's pretty funny. Matthew says, open the back door so the dog can stop barking and take a leak.
Nice.
Take the biggest, longest wee ever. Imagine a piss horn you'd have after 4 years of cryo. Thanks, Dave. Ian Francis says, see the newest Halo game has been released yet. There we go, they wanted to get into it though. Jesse White says, check on my AI love interest. Good man. Ben McPhee says, check emails. There's a lot of checked emails. Sam Alexander, if the UK has sorted out Brexit. Funny.
Nope, not yet.
Brian Yap says, check if 4 and 5 really happened. Was it all just a bad dream?
Ooh.
Or better check if it's still dreaming. We have some masturbation emotes and memes in there, just so you know. I won't describe them to you. Kyle says, try to figure out the Spartan 4s are such pieces of shit after all the time. They're perfect Spartan program. Ooh. Alan says, find out why the ship is falling apart. Luke says, if Master Chief waking up, I see how nuts my partner A has become and look for a weapon. If it is me waking up, I would be like Austin Powers waking up from cryo in the first Austin Powers movie.
That's very good.
That's pretty good. Lucas Frizzo says, it takes a massive piss. We have a lot of that. Brad Tharp says, take a nap. That's true. A lot of people, when you wake up, you're tired. And Corey says, man, I'm hungry. Where's the beef? There we go.
Yeah. Gotta find that McRib, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people we're very worried about their like bodily functions. I mean, this makes sense. We're all human.
True.
All right, that'll do it for our debriefing of the prologue and Dawn mission from Halo 4. On the next episode, we'll be covering Requiem.
Ooh.
Send us your thoughts at Podcast Evolved. What is that? Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at Podcast Evolved on Twitter. Until next time,
Evolved.
Welcome to Halo 4.
Yay, Halo 4.